Well, hello, everybody. What's up? I'm Jay with Guilty of Crime, and we're back. Good to see everybody. Come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't, get a membership if you can't. Good to see everyone. Hopefully, nobody was too confused today. I see people went over to modern day Ed Gain, the man who robbed hundreds of graves and stole human remains. All right. Hung them in his house, collected them in a storage. And guys, not just for monetary gain, this guy has intertwined his life and his character online with that of being a grave robber. And there's a lot to get into, guys. This is like I said, if you've seen this on another channel, you haven't seen it the way that I'm going to present it today. So come on in, Nina. Hi, Jay and Crime Crew. What's up? Darlene, good to see you. Tony B, Liz Viega, Kathy, you made it. Now, this is this is going to be, again, trigger warning, because when we talk about modern day Ed Gain, I shit you not. And what I dug up, no pun intended, guys, but bump up, no pun intended. What I dug up on this gravedigger is something bigger than I had even imagined. All right. This whole thing, you wouldn't imagine there'd be other people that are intertwined in this giant case. As a matter of fact, there was another gravedigger in that same town that was selling these things, human body parts, skin, all kinds of sick stuff. I'm going to read you the actual affidavit today. And that affidavit, guys, is scarier than actually me watching or playing a movie. I have the affidavit of probable cause. And when I read that, I said, oh my God, the crime crew is going to be on the edge watching and listening to what I have to say. So you're going to have storytelling with Jay from Guilty of Crime today for a bit. And then we're going to go inside of the Pennsylvania cemetery. So listen, today we're covering grave robbery horror in Philadelphia. This is the case of Jonathan Gerlach. All right, or Gerlach. Over the overview of this case, Jonathan Gerlach's a 34-year-old man from Ephrata, and I think I'm saying that right, Pennsylvania. Now, guys, he was arrested in early January of 2026 for orchestrating a months long grave robbing spree at Mount Moriah Cemetery, which spans Southwest Philadelphia into Delaware County. Now, authorities uncovered more than 100 human remains, including infants, in his home and a nearby storage. The case can only be described by prosecutors as a horror movie. All right, guys. So as we get into it, you said Ephrata. Yeah, okay, we're good. Thank you. Michelle's coming in hot with the Guilty of Crime membership. If you guys can match her, please do so. All right, we're gonna jump into it. I got a lot of reading to do today, so I'm not going to overview too much without having something going. But that's Jonathan Gerlach, and this is bigger than I think many of us thought. Yeah, P is F. I got it. Ephrata. All right. Michelle, thank you so much for starting off the train. Choo, choo. All right. So, guys, this just happened 2026. Now, listen, on November 7th, 2025, he had already been robbing graves, Jonathan, but he began robbing the graves at Mount Moriah Cemetery, which we're going to go into today. Actually, going to go into the cemetery and see graves that he robbed and left open. Now, fast forward from November 7th, 2025 to January 6th, just 9 days ago, surveillance captures Gerlach's vehicle near the cemetery with bones visible in the back seat, but it gets sick. Police execute a search warrant. We're going to go into his house. I've also got leaked footage of the things that he had in the house and had on display, which is disgusting. They discovered corpses, guys, hanging from the ceiling and remains of over 100 individuals. Now, January 9th, just 6 days ago, Gerlach is formally charged with over 500 criminal counts, including burglary and abuse of a corpse and desecration of public monuments. Now, just 2 days ago, Mount Moriah Cemetery began fundraising to get upgrades in their security, have cameras, have um, a, a security guard, because people's children, people's parents, people's everything was being stolen and desecrated, and they're not happy about it, which we're going to get into as well. I'm also going to give you a 2-minute clip of the actual Ed Gein who did this sick, twisted thing that ultimately turned into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. So, Bree, thank you so much for the Guilty of Crime membership and matching Michelle. Please thank her if you received one. Guys, again, trigger warning. If you saw this on another channel, you didn't see it here. All right. So, like I said, we're gonna see the leaked footage inside the shed of this man and other monsters. We're going to see a lot today. There's a lot of trigger warnings for everybody today. Now, listen, the charges are 26 counts of burglary, 26 counts of criminal trespass, 100 counts of abuse of a corpse, 100 counts of receiving stolen property, 26 counts of intentional desecration of public monuments, and additional related offenses. Now, the court documents reveal a calculating operation. Of course, it didn't just include Gerlach. He was intertwined into another operation of another tattooed man that had his face tattooed that says he was targeted because of the way he looks. But in fact, that's how the operation began, and they closed in on Gerlach. So we're going to hear from another grave robber that got 6 years for way lighter crimes than this. Now, the psychology behind grave robbing is pretty simple. It's historically rooted in financial gain. But many times, like the two people we'll see today, Jonathan's the main focus. The other one, Mr. Pauly, is somebody that opened the door. And what you see behind me is what it looked like when law enforcement opened the door to connect the dots with Jonathan and the other people that were desecrating bodies and selling them online illegally, right? Dead bodies, dead infants, dead people's grandparents, parents, etc. All right, so it's bad. In this case, we're talking about him in the financial gain, possibly medical research, and morbid fascination. All right. In the investigation, he was reportedly active in online groups that trade human remains. All right. So the motive really is bone trade and financial. However, there's some sick stuff that can only be attributed to a morbid fascination. All right. Now, the community response of the Mount Moriah Cemetery has launched a campaign to install cameras and reinforce the perimeter fencing because it has been pretty abandoned. Volunteers and local officials are working to identify the stolen remains and restore the desecrated graves. Jonathan Gerlach is a 34-year-old man from Ephrata, Pennsylvania, and this just came out in January 2026. But I assure you, they were monitoring, and there was an operation. Let's find these grave robbers and what they're doing. Now, this guy is heavily tattooed, and he also was in a band, a heavy metal band, a heavy metal band with lots of, by the way, thumbnails of skulls and graves and things that go to the sort. The name of his band is My Heart to Fear, which we're going to talk about. That's in Lancaster and Williamsport, the metal scene in Pennsylvania. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to start off. I don't know what happened to chat. It's come to a stop at this point. So let's see if we can get this going. I don't know if you guys are here with me. If you guys can do me a favor and put a comment in chat, because I don't see you guys at all right now. So take a look at this. This is what the scene looked like outside of his home and outside of his storage. There's literally a medical examiner and officials taking out tons of bodies. All right. There's full bodies in here.
And then one.
Let's go back. I don't see y'all's comments, but I'm going to keep going. Now, listen, investigators at the home allegedly had 100+ skeletons. Police said that the remains in various states of decay, including 200+ year old of infants. Now, that crime scene unit is in front of his house in the garage. Police say he was involved in breaking into the mausoleums, etc. All right. So I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit of that and what it looked like there. If I had to see that in my neighborhood, it would be tragic to hear about this. Not only that, guys, but the smell of decomposition, and then to find babies, little babies and bodies hanging from this guy's from his garage, right? He didn't try to hide it too much, and his whole persona revolved around him being this gravedigger. All right, I'm going to show you social media and things like that. Let's take a look into this. Again, trigger warning. Hold on. All right, Murder She Shed got some leaked video of the things that are in that home and displayed. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to read the probable cause affidavit. We're going to get into it. Let's look at these photos of the wild things that they found. All right, it's quick, so let's go. Weird. So I want you to kind of understand what it is that the law enforcement actually found. All right, so come on in, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Again, chat has kind of stopped. I don't know if Tiff says hers is frozen too. Everyone else says chat's fine. All right, well, here we go. Let's take a look at. We'll take a look inside the grave robbing and the human remains and the things that were being sold. All right, I'm so glad that I was able to dig this up. Again, no pun intended.
Ugh, what a fucking creep.
Yeah,
It's like my grandmother's dentures. It is. It's fucking gross. Look at the one hanging. Ugh. Look at these ones. All the ones behind you. God damn. Oh, that one's still alive. That's how long it's alive.
And again, we weren't supposed to have this. It's leaked footage. It's very creepy and very dark. The problem is you could smell the decomposition fairly close to where they were. Now, yeah, dark scale, you're absolutely right. You couldn't probably smell it because Ephrata is a lot of farmland. But when law enforcement sees these items and other people recall this weird sicko, guess what? They did smell decomposition. And there was anywhere from years to hundreds of years old. This is in Pennsylvania, my friends. Let's watch this one more time. We have a lot to get into.
Weird. Ugh, what a fucking creep.
yeah.
It's like my grandmother's dentures. It is. It's fucking gross. Look at the one hanging. Ugh. Look at these ones. All the ones behind you. God damn. Oh, that one's still alive.
Now, listen, there was skin on some of these torsos. Some of the torsos literally still had the skin, and some of the skin was absolutely stolen from the graves purposely in order to sell and make things like, guys, Ed Gein, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? This is a modern day Ed Gein, in my opinion. Disgusting stuff.
That's how long it's alive. But I want to get the hand.
Wow, look at this.
I'm sorry. Oh my god.
What the fuck? Is that a pacemaker?
Hold on real quick. 1 second, guys.
Weird. Ugh, what a fucking creep.
Yeah.
And I'll have to concur with that. What a fucking creep, right? I mean, it's dark. Can you imagine if that happened to you and you went to go visit your grandma or your baby or your whatever, and the the body was gone and you found out it was stolen and being sold online. That's what he was doing in this operation, which is a bigger operation than I even had an idea. I had no idea that it was of that extent, guys. So now I'm going to quickly show you who Ed Gein is. Hold on. Literally Ed Gein in 30 seconds. This is the modern day, in my opinion, the modern day Ed Gein. Let me, in case you guys don't know who the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or you don't recall, or you've never actually seen the real Ed Gein, aka Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you guys know this is him.
Born in 1906 in Wisconsin, Ed Gein grew up under a controlling, fanatically religious mother. After her death, his obsession with corpses spiraled into horror. In 1957, police discovered human remains in his farmhouse, masks, furniture, and clothing made from human skin. His crimes shocked the world and inspired iconic horror characters like Norman Bates, Leatherface, and Buffalo Bill. Though convicted of murder, he was declared insane and spent the rest of his life in a mental institution. Ed Gein, the real-life monster behind Hollywood's darkest nightmares. Who is Ed Gein?
All right. And one more quick clip of Ed Gein and his actual voice and what he did. So if this does not demonstrate the modern day Ed Gein and the faces and the things, I don't know what will. Okay. But again, I'm going to show a quick Ed Gein's real voice and footage so you can see how creepy and similar that Jonathan Gerlach is actually to Ed Gein and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I wonder if he's going to get a Netflix deal. Tracy Smith, thank you for becoming a member, and thank you for the $2 super chat. She says, Jay, I love the community you have created. I appreciate that. One more clip of Ed Gein so you guys know exactly who we're comparing Jonathan Gerlach to.
Did you work all night at that?
This is Ed Gein.
That's right. What would you do with the sexual part?
That was in.
One was painted, they said.
Oh, that one, when they died.
Now he's talking about the sexual acts that he did to the bodies that he desecrated. Now Ed Gein or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre did a lot more than just collecting and making lampshades with them. He was actually into necrophilia, etc. And we can't rule that out right now with this case of Jonathan Ephrata. I mean, I'm sorry, Ephrata. Jonathan we can't rule that out. Jonathan Gerlach, Ephrata, Pennsylvania. All right. He dried them.
Put the thing over it. Is there anything like,
How did you start?
like I said, might be 4 years. So there's a bunch of photographers from the newspapers. Want to take a picture? Do you want to take a picture? No, it's not yet. So we get to straighten them off.
Would you enjoy it while you were doing it?
What's the worst part of it? I mean, they didn't then. I know better, like,
I knew better.
When you dig these graves up, you were kind of in the haze too, is that it?
That's what I could do. Just learn how you do it.
And then one time you said you were trying to realize what you were doing and you covered her up without taking anything.
That's right.
So that's what Ed Gein was doing. But guys, he also progressed to later on having a fascination with people and killing them. He started off, and we don't know that Mr. Jonathan Gerlach didn't do that to the corpses. We don't know. Norma, I'm so glad you got my book today. Thank you for letting me know. Shout out to you. Made skin chairs, made lamps, hung the bodies, and displayed them. All right. And that's the thing, Patricia. That's what I'm talking about. This morbid fascination of grave robbing became much more. And we don't know that that's not the case. But when I read the probable cause affidavit, you guys are going to say this is sicker than any horror movie I've seen.
What would you do with the sexual part?
They thinking about certain things.
Then what would you do with the head?
That must have been taken from reading about these magazines and everything. Taken Reflection like that headhunter.
Sorry about the sound. Anyway, I mean, this is Ed Gain. You understand. If I hope you know who Texas Chainsaw Massacre Ed Gain is, and we're going to compare that to Jonathan. Again, we're going to go into the grave today. I'm going to read the probable cause, which is more disturbing than anything. And right here, guys, I'm going to show you how this started 4 years ago. This started of I cannot tell you if FBI has stepped in by now. They probably have, but this case grew into what it was because there was another grave robber that was selling these parts. All right. EG had a belt of nipples. He sure did. And I'm glad you guys know this. I'm glad you know this. Now let's quickly step into the families that were affected by this and the person that was sentenced to 6 years for doing a small part of this. Can you imagine what's going to happen to Jonathan?
Ones in Delaware County, the cemetery.
Check this
there are
out.
Speaking out about more than 100 skeletons that were stolen from the cemetery and then later found in a Lancaster County man's home last week. Fox 43's Matt Kleinen spoke with those family members and has the latest on the case.
People across Pennsylvania continue to be shocked after police pulled hundreds of skeletons from a Lancaster County home.
I've never heard of anything like this before. I don't think many people have.
34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach continues to sit in a Delaware County jail after he was arrested for vandalizing dozens of graves at the Mount Moriah Cemetery. Tony Schmidt says she was upset when she heard about the robbery, adding that her mother volunteered at the cemetery for years.
She would go to Mount Moriah and help clean up and visit the grave of her great-grandfather, who was the lieutenant commander.
We're going to go inside. We're going to see how he broke in and what he left and what he did. They don't have security guards in this area, and it was semi-abandoned. There's people that are hundreds of years old. But guys, this didn't start from Jonathan. This was kicked off 4 years ago when they did a massive sting operation, which nobody else is reporting on right now. I am. That's why I put that behind me, because that's what it looks like, the operation that they were doing. And you're going to see the other guy that got arrested and did 6 years for a slight thing that he says the only reason that he actually got busted, he's saying because he's tattooed and he looks different. But no, buddy, it's because you're a sick fuck. Sorry, excuse my language, but you're sick and you're desecrating infants and families and grandparents and mothers. You're desecrating their body for your sick and twisted, morbid mind and for monetary gain. This guy needs to be locked up for a really long time. And that's what they're going to do, it looks like.
At Little Round Top in Gettysburg.
It's angering, but it's also heartbreaking.
Christine Mello says she drove to Mount Moriah to check on her grandparents' graves shortly after hearing about Gerlach's arrest.
I pulled up and there was an elderly man there who was looking for his dad. Where's my dad at? Is my dad's bones taken? Where are they? And I was calming down this man, being like, is he a mausoleum? Like, what do we know?
According to court documents, Gerlach is accused of robbing grave sites in Delaware and Luzerne counties. Social media accounts belonging to Gerlach also showed human skulls on display. In a Facebook Live, Jeremy Pauley, who pled guilty to trafficking human remains.
And I'm going to show you I've got his Instagram, his Facebook, and everything that you all need to know about Jonathan Gerlach. And that is not Jonathan Gerlach. This guy is intertwined in the case because law enforcement dug in to find the people that were not only stealing from the graves, but selling, desecrating, and displaying these bodies. And it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. 2 women in Florida are also arrested for it. Well, check this out. It got bigger, and I'm glad that you came in and know that, because this was about Jonathan Gerlach today, but then we've got this guy that isn't Jonathan Gerlach. What does this have to do with anything? Well, we're going to find out.
Last year claimed that Gerlach bought some of his collection off his ex-wife.
I had tried to reach out to him at one point about like, hey, what you bought, what you brokered wasn't her.
So he's actually talking about something that he sold to Gerlach. Imagine this. Imagine in Florida, law enforcement doing a sting operation for CSAM, right? Imagine there's a big CSAM operation or sex trafficking. Well, what they do is they find the head honcho that's selling one of the girls, and they go and look for the guy that's buying. Well, that's what they did in this case, because this is the first guy. His name is Paulie. This is the guy that got arrested initially 4 years ago and got 6 years. But now they're asking him, how did he interact with Jonathan? And that's where we have him and his girlfriend.
To sell. He kind of like told me,
Volunteers with the Mount Moriah Cemetery say they are looking for donations to improve security, while families call on local governments to protect the grounds.
What is the point of taxes in government if we're not taking care of our lands and spaces?
Matt Kleindens, Fox 43 News.
All right, so you see the family members, the people
I want to share some new
intertwined, and just quickly, I'm going to introduce you to the man that started this. This is the PA man that started, Jeremy Pauly. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison on Monday. Now, this was December 24th, 2025, guys. This was just happening when Christmas Eve rolled around after 4 years of them investigating. All right. Now, this guy is going to court and being sentenced, and the effect of it is Jonathan Gerlach being charged with hundreds of counts of desecration, etc.
Being sentenced today to 6 years in prison. So we have been following this disturbing case since the very beginning. CBS 21's Lily Sexton was in the courtroom today and has more from Williamsport.
Jeremy Pauly admitted to his involvement in this interstate black market for body parts, but he argued that he's not the most responsible for the crime and that his sentence should reflect that. Do you have anything to say to the families involved on his...
I mean, could you even imagine that?
Way
in Pennsylvania, there being a giant sting operation for these weirdos stealing your relatives' body parts and displaying them, hanging corpses from your ceiling? I just don't get this. And he tries to blame it on his look, but no, guy, no. You're selling and displaying people's family members.
To the courthouse, he had no comment. But inside, for the first time, we heard from Jeremy Pauly saying he has, quote, deep regret for his actions, hoping that the families affected are able to find peace. This case dates back to June of 2023, officers finding multiple gallon jugs filled with body parts at Pauly's home in Enola. That gruesome discovery leading to a multi-state investigation.
Now, this is what happened. It led to the investigation, which led them into the same town as Jeremy Pauly, and it's Jonathan Gerlach. All right. So who would have thought that this was a bigger problem, a bigger case than this one isolated incident where this guy is selling hundreds of different parts and people? I mean, I had no idea what I was uncovering. I'm like, whoa. That means you've got Jeremy Pauly here. I don't see Jonathan Gerlach on here at all. But then the suspects span all the way out to Minnesota. Well, there's Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. It's everywhere. They're selling these all the way back from 2018. All right.
FBI finding out some of the body parts were stolen from those who donated their bodies to science. Their loved ones unaware that the ashes they received were incomplete. Those loved ones represented today by the prosecution. Impact statements included one woman whose stillborn fetal remains were stolen and sold to Pauly, saying it feels like she lost her son twice. Another woman saying she has PTSD because of the unknown. A similar sentiment one woman we spoke to had.
It has been so traumatic to go through. And I feel just like I'll never, ever be completed. I'll never, ever be at ease because all these questions will stay in my mind forever.
Pauly pleaded guilty to interstate transport of stolen property and conspiracy to commit the same crime, since selling body parts is not illegal in PA or federally. The prosecution asked the judge for 15 years, saying, quote, he is the one at the center of the night.
But now we realize that Jonathan is much bigger than this guy. So what's happening here? Shoot for the stars. Got 1 and 2. What is up, my friend? Good to see you. Big hug. Thank you so much. Towards our goal. Yeah, Michael Jackson wanted to buy the bones of the Elephant Man, but this operation is much more dirty. And I mean, I guess that's dirty too, but you have money, you can buy it. This is just the lowest of the low. I didn't even think about that with the Michael Jackson thing. That's interesting.
Mayor. The judge says that while Pauly isn't the most culpable, he still knowingly violated the wishes of the families already living through tragedy, handing down the 6-year sentence. Polly has until January 16th to appear in front of the Department of Corrections. The judge says that he will.
All right, so we don't care about the Polly man. We just wanted to, Jeremy Polly, we wanted to kick this off. Now we're going to get into Jonathan Gerlach, who he is, the probable cause affidavit, and looking into the cemetery. Nina, thank you so much for the $2 super sticker and shoot for the stars again. And if I miss something while I'm reading, I'll tell you, I will thank you. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then Nina, 6. Indy Isham, thank you so much. Big hugs and love to you. Not past crimes, but put it in federal law. Isn't that wild? I wonder what's going to happen now. All right, so let's take a look at the man that that Jonathan Gerlach, the guy at the center of this, and let's take a look at his Instagram real quick. It's Dead Shit Daddy, and I just want you to notice that his persona is really similar to the persona he puts online. Is kind of how he tries to live. So when you look at these bones and you look at his collection, etc., it's real, guys, and it's real big, and it's real open, and it's online for anybody and everybody. Yeah, dipshit dad. Nina Hunt, thank you so much. Take a look at this, guys. Look at this. Yeah, we'll call him dipshit daddy. So I'm not even going to go on to the sensitive content because I'm assuming there's still some flesh onto this. Now, someone says you sold someone's family member. You can literally still see the burnt stuff on the skull and the flesh, and it shows. It shows, all right? Looks like he put some teeth in there, like maybe somebody had dentures, which is what we saw earlier. This is sicker than sick, guys. Thank you so much. Shoot for the stars. You can only purchase bones from hospitals, and they're supposed to be used for educational reasons, not this nonsense. Well, guys, there's hundreds of these, hundreds and thousands when you add them together. All right. Thank you again. Shoot for the stars. She's killing it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So let's take a look at these real quick. I want you to kind of look at the close-up. I'm going to show you close-up just so you can see that there's still stuff. Literally, there's hair coming out of the face of this. All right. These are all real. This was from his Oddities and Curiosity Dead Shit Daddy page. Okay. Real people here. Look at that. You can see it broken, and you can see all the things, the hair. There's still skin attached to it, and the coroners or the people, the medical examiners said it smelled. This is dipshit daddy, Jonathan. All right. Jonathan Gerlach. All right. He's got some little oddities in there, little small things going on. But I mean, this is really just disgusting. You can see curly hair on the top of the head, and there's still a patch over here. All right. And it goes on and on. He's got some bones from like animals and such, but a lot of this, guys, are humans. All right. Now, this is his persona right here. He's sitting there you see this quite a bit, in his chair at his office with a human skull next to him. All right. Someone says, I'm going to need a therapist to explain to me why this doesn't bother me. I'm upset for the families, but he wasn't killing anyone. And again, guys, we don't know that. I find it a little flattering. Like, I would love for someone to display me as art when I pass. He was very respectful to the bones. Yeah, this is not this guy. I don't know, but this is creepy AF. All right. And this is what he was doing. And this is what he got busted with. All right. So that's his social media there. It goes on and on and on with the bones. All right. With the bones and the skulls. And I don't know why he didn't assume that he would get busted at some point, because look at this extensive collection he's got going on. There's literally pieces of a skull cut out and displayed. You can still see the flesh. It says ex-mummified, eyes present and round, specimen prepared by yours truly. See the second picture for size detail. It's an exploded fetal kitten skull with brain. Why is anybody buying that, guys? I mean, that's disgusting. I don't care if it's an animal or a human. It's disgusting. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, Allison. Who knows if he wasn't having himself? Exactly. My goodness, guys. This is disturbing. This is freaking disturbing. So, I mean, I don't see the fascination with it, but who knows if this guy was dipping into like what Ed Gein did and a necrophiliac. Again, this is somebody's grandpa. He's saying sending Harry Potter off to Hogwarts today. He'll be missed. All right. And someone's like, freak, dude stole this shit. Plot twist, his business partner snitched on him. And guys, I do think his business partner was Jeremy Pauly. I know that he was connected to Jeremy Pauly, and we'll find out more when we get into the affidavit. All right. So let's keep going. I'm going to get into that. This is disgusting. I don't even know what to tell you what the world is coming to, except, like I said, the modern day Ed Gein. We haven't seen that since then. All right, let's talk about him, and then I'll read the affidavit. This guy says a good dude, former friend of alleged grave robber, shares insight. Let's just take a look at this.
And tonight, we're also learning more about the man who is at the center of this case, a man his friends say was just a normal guy. CBS 21's Maxine Rose continues our team coverage and joins us live in Ephrata. Maxine, what did they tell you?
Call Allie Callie.
Alex, today I spoke with a man named Trevor Poole. He spoke with me over video call today from his home in Williamsport. But of course, we are outside the home right now where investigators have been searching through for the past couple days here. What we know from Trevor Poole is that he was a former friend of Jonathan Gerlach, and he says he met him through the music scene.
Good people can do bad things.
And this will give you a good idea of, again, Ephrata, Lancaster County, the people that he was surrounded with, and who Jonathan is. Now, I had like a 7-minute clip with more, but you guys get the point. He's a sick individual with just a sick individual we'll start with. And obviously, in my opinion, he's got mental issues, and not in the way that you can get off on getting on the crime, but just a sick fascination with people and babies and animals.
More than 550 charges filed against Jonathan Gerlach is not adding up for former friends like Trevor Poole.
My reaction is it seems like something like psychosis of some sort. I just wonder.
That's what I'm talking about. Is it psychosis?
I guess would say triggered him.
Poole says he met Jonathan Gerlach around 2010 while playing at shows with his band called My Hearts of Fear. Poole says Gerlach also joined a band called Road to Milestone as a lyricist and vocalist.
Now, when you guys look at his lyrics and the thumbnails of or I should say the covers, the band covers, they all have something to do with skeletons and skeletal and body parts. And this guy, black metal. What's up, Saucy Kid CBD? Much love to you. Black metal. Now, I don't have a problem with people that hunt and do the deers and they hang the animals. I'm not a hunter. I couldn't do it, but that's a bit different than stealing somebody's baby, stealing somebody's grandpa, stealing somebody's aunt. All right. Maybe his own victims are mixed in. Jumpas. You took the words out of my mouth. I think that's what we're looking at in this case. And I have a feeling when it comes back and then he gets charged with the desecration and all of his charges that I'm going to go over, they're going to find that he killed somebody or many somebodies. Now, taxidermy is a trophy for hunting. It's not an issue, but that's much different than shooting a cat, just shooting them in the skull to make the brain explode, to clean it off and then sell it. And in my opinion, that's what he was doing. You cannot make this shit up, but you can watch a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie and realize that your people are saying Ed Gein, but it feels like Jeepers Creepers as well. I'm just saying a modern day horror movie. And who is this guy? Who is he?
And both of their bands would often play at shows together until around 2018.
John was like one of my closer friends that I would hang out with, have brewskis with, and chop it up with outside of the shows. It would always just be him and I talking about, our beliefs, and he's a very empathetic guy. Like, he was always a good dude.
For someone in the heavy metal community, having an interest in oddities doesn't exactly come as a shock, Poole says. But
yes,
Poole
Buffalo
also
Bill
says Gerlach never even mentioned being into it at the time.
Honestly, like he was very to himself. As far as like social media goes, it seemed like he kept it pretty minimal.
His Instagram page.
He didn't keep it minimal. It was everywhere for everybody to see. And that's what we're going over. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, everything was saturated with his skulls and different parts and torsos. I don't know how people didn't realize what he was doing, but I do think that people thought it was part of his persona, guys. I really think people thought, oh, it's just the tattoos and he's into the metal band. Those aren't real. But guys, those are real. They had hair coming out of them and real teeth. People are talking about it in that town. You said my house is full of weird shit, but no freaking human bones. And guess what, Bondage Barb? I hope I don't walk into your living room and you're hanging a corpse from it, because that's what this guy did. All right, we're gonna get into the probable cause affidavit right after this, which is this right here. Oh, this is the search warrant. That's what I want to go with you guys. I want you to see what the search warrant looked like.
Confirmed by documents for a search warrant. It says, quote, the 533 accounts and pages Gerlach is following revealed an abundance of accounts referencing skeleton collections, corpses, taxidermy, human skull store, oddities, and bone museums. But another alleged Instagram page of his shows more.
I think it was just kind of, it blended in. I guess my overall take generally is I never, ever would have expected him to do something like this.
Yeah, because they thought it was part of the
And that is
persona.
just a little bit of what we know so far about Jonathan Gerlach, but of course we are actively working to find out more.
And we're going to find out more right now. So let's keep going. Lancaster, Pennsylvania, new details are being released. Jonathan Gerlach had more than 100 sets of human remains in his Ephrata home where he's believed to be living. He's also selling some of the bones, and he also has a storage facility. All right. So we looked at the search warrant. I'm going to read the probable cause affidavit. And quickly, I want to show you the hanging corpses and the details, and then we'll get into the affidavit. And once we do that, I'm going to be reading, so I won't be able to see chat, but I promise if you guys super chat, super sticker, or any of those, I'll get back to you. Let's take a look at the human remains discovered hanging from his ceiling. All right.
With burglarizing graves and storing remains in his home and storage unit. Chris O'Connell, you've been following this story since it broke. What are police saying?
Oh, Jason, police think that Jonathan Gerlach was selling at least some of those human remains online. Investigators say he had collected a trove of human skulls, skeletons, and bones, including full corpses hanging from his basement ceiling.
I never thought I would see this in my life.
Now, there's a full press conference, and the reason I'm putting this is I just want to give you a little more background to the case before we get into the actual cemetery. All right, Hannibal Lecter, that's another one. I think we could name lots of serial killers in this case, and I can't imagine that there's none of his victims in there, which we'll find out. Let's see what this guy says.
It was an experience that you really don't want to relive.
The Yeadon police chief says he's seen a lot in his career, but nothing
Never
like
like
what he
this.
saw when he walked into the home of accused grave robber Jonathan Gerlach.
But do you see how you can look at Jonathan Gerlach and think, oh, this guy's in a heavy metal band for years, and he's got the tattoos and the piercings. Oh, it's just part of his persona. Rev CP says they said he was doing it back in October. Oh, this went back to 2018. Law enforcement was investigating this. Now, Ed Gain was taking bones and making things for at least 4 years. We also have Norman Bates. Good one. We don't have Snow. You guys talking about there. Ed was a couple of years after his mom passed. It wasn't very long. Yeah, we can always get the time frame of Ed Gain if you guys ever want to go into that more. And we can also go over Ed Gain, and Jeremy Polly is another one that fascinates me. He's doing this, but a little bit less.
He was one of the first inside of Gerlach's Ephrata home when they discovered more than 100 human remains of people who have died decades, even centuries ago. Investigators and medical examiners were back at the property today. They say 8 more bodies were found at a nearby storage locker.
They were basically on display. There were some.
Now, look, they were on display in a storage locker and people were coming there. People were coming and buying it. The ones that did know they were real are on the list for law enforcement to arrest. Jeremy Pauley, the guy that I showed you before, was actually arrested because he was buying real human body parts. Now, YouTube shell. Another huge issue is the toxic chemicals these remains have from embalming. Back in the 1800s, they embalmed with heavy metals, which means he poisoned his entire home and the whole neighborhood. That's a good call. That part I hadn't even looked at. You say he worked at a laser factory for 10 years. And again, it reminds me of another Dahmer thing, him just kind of hiding out in a factory, blending in. Did he work at night? I wonder.
Stuff in boxes, but most of the stuff was on display.
According to newly released affidavits, police say Gerlach used crowbars and screwdrivers to break into dozens of mausoleums and underground burial vaults on both the Yeadon and Philadelphia.
Now, when I read you the probable cause affidavit and how they caught him, you guys are going to say, no way, you couldn't make this up. All right. He was a manager, just a normal dude. And it should be disturbing. It should be very disturbing. We're going to go into that graveyard after we do the affidavit.
Sides of the historic Mount Moriah Cemetery. You can actually see where some of the stones were moved and vaults burglarized. 2 corpses stolen from this grave, 7 sets of remains stolen from this family plot. All of the remains were from those who died many years ago, but some as young as infants. Descendants of family members buried here are sickened.
It's yucky. I mean, anybody finding out, we think that, we're going to rest in peace and be okay there. And
Now, literally, the medical examiner brought full-on bodies and body bags from his house and then his shed. So, I mean, this is just, there's a lot of wrong things with this, and there's a lot of harm that could be done to the environment as well. Procuring remains for witchcraft and Satanism. Interesting, maybe. I don't know anything about that, but I wouldn't put it past.
it's their landing space of their body, not their soul. So there's peace in that.
Neighbors at Gerlach's Ephrata home started to get suspicious when they started noticing flies around the window.
It was more than 5. It was at least 20, 30 on each window. I figured it was a garage that they were getting in through somewhere.
I'm telling you, the law enforcement tells you how it smells. It did smell, but because the town is, whatever the town is, however it smells, if there's cattle, if there's any of the country, you won't be able to smell it as well. But I assure you, with 20 to 25 flies around the window, there was some nasty stuff down there. But the chemicals from embalming absolutely have contaminated that house and maybe the neighborhood. And that's what the neighbors are afraid of. Not only just the contamination, but also just having hundreds of bodies there.
And they couldn't get out, and now finding out that there was all those remains in there, it makes sense.
Investigators are trying to figure out if other cemeteries were hit. In December, a tip came into police about a grave robber in Luzerne County. A tipster told police they recently discovered a partially decomposed corpse hanging from Gerlach's basement.
So somebody told on him, as well as the Jeremy Pauley person. Like I said, they have been investigating this grave robbing situation since 2018 in this town, which exposed Jeremy Pauley initially and other people that were buying and selling real bodies.
They also say he disappeared for a few days and mentioned that he had been in Chicago selling a human skull. Police are looking into a Facebook page devoted to selling human remains. Investigators wonder how long it's been going on or what else they may find.
What could this evolve to next? You're collecting human remains. What's the next step in the evolution of this? And that's something that, hopefully we will find out why.
Now, Gerlach remains in the Delaware County Jail on $1 million cash bail. Investigators are now trying to connect loved ones with their family members' remains, but since all of them died many, many years ago, Dawn, they understand it is going to be a challenge.
No doubt, Chris, and so disturbing.
Yeah, that town is going to be disturbed for years to come. All right, guys, I'm going to read the probable cause affidavit, which is scarier than an actual horror movie. Sassy Cricket says, "No, I'm a witch. We would just be as appalled as anyone else. We honor the dead and the spirits, and we don't desecrate them for greed." Well, that's what I like to hear. I would hope so. I don't know about the Jeremy Polly. I will have to research him. Well, Husky Lover, if you go back and watch the beginning of this episode, you will see how that's relevant to the picture behind me and the dots that were connected, starting with Jeremy Polly. All right. Yeah. Don't mess with the bones and the souls. That's why I just want to be cremated, guys. I do not want to be out there in the ground by myself. All right. Where people have to come visit me. Just cremate me, be done. All right, let's keep going. I got to read. I'm going to read the probable cause affidavit now, which is what they were just showing. I'm glad that I was able to find this because it's scarier than any horror movie. Let me make sure you guys can see that. If I need to make it bigger, I will. Let me know. If you guys want it to be bigger, put 1 in chat. All right, and otherwise, let's watch these the trolls because I'm reading right now. All right. So watch for the trolls synth. I just deleted one from the channel. All right. Thank you. All right. Number 1. Oh, you want me to make it bigger so you can actually see it too? All right. That's cool. I can do that. I don't know if you guys are watching it on your big screen TV or what, but here we go. And please, yes, keep the trolls. Just block them. Get rid of them. Don't ever let them come back. Time them out and just remove them. All right, listen, and if it's worth it for you to troll my channel to keep having to make different profiles, then by all means, go for it. All right, I'm going to get into it now. You guys, my mods, are going to time idiots out, and I'm going to read. All right, Ephrata has a few haunted places. You can research the haunted places, and we'll be right there on the list of the massacres. That's crazy. I'm going to leave that up for a minute. All right, listen, guys. On November 7th, 2025, at approximately 11:29 hours, the Yeadon Borough Police Department was dispatched to the Yeadon Borough section of Mount Moriah Cemetery for a report of a burglary discovered. Officers arrived at the location and were met by the complainant, a member of Friends of Mount Moriah. Officers were directed to Section 125 within the cemetery, which contains mausoleums. Due to the previous vandalism over the years, all the access to mausoleums had previously been sealed with concrete blocks and cement. Officers were led to the Hunter family mausoleum, which had a large hole in the cinder block that were now permitted to access the mausoleum. Upon the inspection inside the mausoleum, it was discovered that the marble flooring was destroyed, revealing the crypts situated below ground level. It should have been noted from the drop from the damaged flooring to the lower level of the underground crypt, which is approximately 10 feet. Now, Detective Cesanak responded to Mount Moriah Cemetery to process the scene. Located within the mausoleum was a white nylon rope with a brown and black carabiner attached. The rope was tied to a large tree branch, which was lying on the ground level floor inside of the mausoleum. The rope was left hanging down into the now open floor of the mausoleum and positioned as if the actor or actors utilized it to rappel into the now open floor, allowing access to the crypts and the below ground level. So they had this thing going. They had it down. Now, while canvassing the area by the crypts, Craftsman flathead screwdrivers were located on the ground within the debris from the broken marble. The name Brian, which was etched into multiple times on the handle of the screwdriver. Officers discovered a crypt that had been disturbed, which was on the bottom left of the underground area and identified as holding Martha Hunter. Remember, these are real people, real families. She was born in 1854 and she passed away in 1869. The marble stone that was securing the crypt had been completely removed from the crypt itself, sitting upright on the nearby wall. Inspection of the crypt revealed no remains or clothing were left behind, indicating that someone had removed the contents of the crypt. One set of human remains is believed to be missing. The rope, carabiner, and screwdriver were collected as evidence. Detective Cessnack utilized a hydrated cotton swab to recover DNA evidence from the screwdriver as well as the carabiner. The swabs were then submitted to Pennsylvania State Police Laboratory for testing. All right, let's keep going. This is going to give you everything you need to know. My son, you guys are talking about tattoos now. What's up? Come on in, hit that like button, subscribe, all the things. I hope everybody's doing okay today. This is absolutely a wild case. Everybody say a big shout out to PNO that stopped by and gives us a big cheers. Go sub up to PNO. All right. Thank you. All right. I'll keep that up there for a minute and then take a look at this. All right. Let's keep going with the affidavit. I hope that you guys are liking the way I present this today. All right. I figured I would read this instead of playing something. All right. Listen, on November 29th at 14:08 hours, YBP department was dispatched to the borough section. Hold on. Wait. What did this? Okay, in the Pritchard. Okay, hold on. We saw this. Jonathan. Now we're looking at the Jonathan Pritchard family mausoleum. Detectives responded to process the scene. Once inside the mausoleum, it was discovered that 5 out of 9 crypts were damaged. Now, the crypts were all above ground inside of the mausoleum. The bottom right crypt was completely open, revealing the coffin inside. The casket itself sustained heavy damage, and upon inspection, it was discovered that no human remains or clothing were inside. After speaking with the complainant, it was learned that the targeted casket contained the remains of Mary Pritchard Steigelman, who was born in 1878 and passed away in 1940. One set of human remains is believed to be missing. Now, remember, this is the original probable cause based on the facts and circumstances of Jonathan's arrest. Now, located inside of the Pritchard mausoleum, the debris caused by the damaged cinder block and marble was a 24-ounce Monster energy drink can. The can still had liquid inside, and the stamp on the bottom of the can read, and they put the IL253P 16.31, and that's going to give them when the can was made and distributed. The can was collected as evidence and later processed for latent prints and DNA evidence. And this is all connected to Jonathan, all right, the grave robber. Detective Cessnick utilized a hydrated cotton swab again to gather the DNA and lift the cards and the swabs. Detective C later conducted a search of the stamp on and recovered monster can, which revealed that the numbers were a production of a batch. Code indicated that the recovered Monster energy drink was manufactured in August 23 of 2025 at 1631 hours. That's very elaborate, guys. So remember that they only had to look at the stamp on the can, and it can tell you when it was produced and sold and made and all of that. Now, on November 29th, officers alerted by the complainant to another damaged mausoleum, which was positioned behind the Pritchard mausoleum where they found the Monster energy drink. And that was the Frank Charlton family member. And they give you that. They give you the GPS coordinates. It has sustained fresh damage to the rear cemented window. Bottom left corner of the window had cement chipped away, leaving debris on the ground directly below. It doesn't appear the entry was made into this mausoleum. All right. Now, we're going to look here, another page 3 of the probable cause. We've got the Steele family and Captain Gain family. Again, these are real families, multiple people. You say, I hope they look into the girlfriend more because she has to know something was going on. Well, many people had to know something was going on, guys. How could they not know it was going on? He was displaying them. I mean, I am the heir of a family cemetery. It was devastating me. Exactly. All right, let's keep going. All right, so listen, we got the Steele family and the Gain family. And the Philadelphia cases have similarities to YBP township cases as far as the actors are gaining entry into the mausoleum and underground vaults. Again, Jeremy Pauly. In this case, the suspect is Jonathan Gerlach. I don't know why they took his date of birth out, but on December 23rd, 2025, Detective Cessnack was contacted by Plains Township Detective Lepore in reference to a crime tip submitted by Lancaster Police Department Crime Watch portal, which was then forwarded to his police department. The tip was submitted on December 21st, 2025 at 10:29, entitled Corpse in Basement. All right, that was the tip that was submitted. It says, look into Jonathan Gerlach for the Luzerne County Mausoleum robbery. I know someone who's friends with his family, and they mentioned that he recently discovered a partially decomposed corpse hanging in his basement, but were afraid to tell police. They suspect that he may be behind the Luzerne County Mausoleum robbery, which has happened around the same time in early November. The mausoleum was robbed between November 1st and 6th, guys, 2025. And Jonathan was charged with shoplifting in East Earl Township on October 31st, Halloween. While not a crime, you'll see on his Instagram that he follows accounts in taxidermy, skeleton collecting, and sales of oddities, bones, etc. He also disappeared for a few days in November and mentioned that he had been in Chicago selling a human skull. All right, that's how they suspected and started looking into him. Now, the tip was submitted by Christian Hinosa. Plain Town Detective Thomas Lepore spoke with Hinosa on the phone on December 23rd. Hinosa stated that he spoke with Jonathan Gerlach's brother, Josh Gerlach, and Josh's wife, Alexandra, who stated that while Josh and Alexandra were at Jonathan Gerlach's residence, they observed a partially decomposed body hanging like a display in the basement. It was described to Hinosa as tied and held under the shoulders. Hinosa stated that Josh and Alexandra were in and out of the residence, and they couldn't describe many details such as smell or clothing. Now, Josh and Alexandra related to Hinosa that the remains were from a male body. Hinosa further related to Detective Lepore that Jonathan's social media pages were filled with taxidermy, oddities, and skeleton collecting sites. I mean, how much more can you? There's so much evidence and so many wheels turning wheels. That is some nasty stuff. And why would you do that? Why would you do that? And why would you show it off? Justice Jane, good to see you. I'm almost done reading, and then I can pay a little more attention. Thank you guys for being here. Hit that like button. Get rid of trolls. Even if you're not a mod, tell them to get lost. All right, listen. 2 days after Christmas, Detective Card conducted a public search for accounts associated with Gerlach, and they located the Facebook group of Jonathan Gerlach, which had the same profile pic as the Facebook account number 1 and the Instagram I just showed you. Now, Facebook shows human bones and skull selling group, and you could actually see it right here. The Facebook group with the numbers, it led them right to it. So 2 days after Christmas, Detective Carr continued his open source public search of Gerlach, and he located the Facebook human bones and skull selling group. A search also related back to another Facebook group and revealed a post by a Facebook user named Duffy John on October 16th, which stated, "Mail call yet. As always, got a possible teen now in the collection, and a baboon and a monkey that was part of the human skin bag. Thanks." So again, there's the post right there. Facebook.com, Jonathan Gerlach, NFS. Gerlach's Cash App was there, which you could see. So that's a huge indication he was selling these bones. Now, on December 27th, Detective Carr got Gerlach's phone number, and through Cash App, which is a digital wallet for consumers, permitting its customer to send and receive money through the platform. A public user is permitted to enter a phone number into the search option on the platform in order to locate the Cash App user. Now, Detective Carr entered Gerlach's number into the Cash App, which revealed the user with the Cash App tag, which is redacted, which is Gerlach's. The profile also revealed the username, Jonathan Christian Gerlach, and the profile picture was an unknown person holding what appeared to be a human skull in front of their face, which I showed you earlier. Gerlach's vehicle, which is a brown Toyota RAV4 bearing Pennsylvania plates, which are redacted. On or about December 23rd, 2025, Detective Sesnick requested a PACIC check of any and all vehicles registered to Gerlach. The only record returned to the Toyota RAV4 with the same registration and license plate and a Harley-Davidson motorcycle with the Pennsylvania registration. On December 23rd, they also conducted a plate VIPR, and they've got his vehicle bearing the license plate. Beginning November 1st through December 23rd, the search revealed that on the following dates and times, Gerlach's vehicle was read by the following VIPR license plate readers within Delaware County, specifically readers within or close to Yeadon Borough and 11-2 northbound Church Lane at Bailey Road. If you're local, you'll know. And then again, westbound Baltimore Avenue and Church Lane, Upper Darby. I don't know what that area is, but again, if you know, then you know. All right, so there's the probable cause affidavit, and now I can see what y'all are up to. Let's pull that down and let's take a look into the cemetery. How about that? And then I can see chat. All right, found some open graves and crypts. Mobile Instinct did this. Let's take a look.
To more than 100 skeletons. 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach is facing more than 500 charges and being held on $1 million bail. Investigators say since Halloween, he has broken into dozens of freestanding burial chambers and grave
There it
sites,
is.
and some of these remains were 200 years old.
So that's the motorcycle that they were able to trace back to him with license plate readers and doing their due diligence, right? All right, what's up, Justice Jane? Dark Secret said he'll get a lot of time. Lancaster County doesn't play when it comes to people disrespecting their dead. All right. Now, why hasn't because I believe the Facebook group hasn't been flagged because they're using it to do an operation and arrest these people. That's how they found him connected to Jeremy Pauly.
So the news just broke a few days ago. Jonathan Gerlach, 34 years old.
Pull it up. Hold on.
Stole over 100 skeletal remains from possibly other cemeteries, but definitely Mount Moriah here, just outside or on the edge of Philadelphia. He broke into there's a lot of really old mausoleums here, like this one.
There you go.
So I'm going to go around the cemetery and see what I can see. Try to find some noticeable damage. Some graves that have definitely been messed with recently. They were investigating a problem here since November or something like that. So now all my information, like any of you, has really been from the internet.
Where did it go?
Social media.
And thankfully so.
Things have gotten a lot better here over the last few years. I covered this on that video that I did. The majority of the cemetery was overgrown. I guess you could say it was abandoned.
Yeah,
but
that's
that was
what
really
happened.
like maybe 10, 15 years ago. They've really worked hard to clean things up.
Bones and hold on.
I remember walking through here probably 10, 12 years ago, and this was all overgrown. I mean, you'd have to kind of go through the weeds to get to these things. And a lot of this stuff was not cemented over or bricked up. Now, you might have seen on the news about how he reportedly rappelled down into them. And you might think, well, how is that possible? Well, some of these literally have stairs that go up beside them, and you can come right down I saw this on the news, the Baker mausoleum. This one, he robbed a number of people, 16 or something, 16 skeletons. But this is very, very fresh.
Grub events, discussion.
That's probably still wet in some areas.
All right, you guys with me still?
All right, I'll go up the stairs. Let's go up the stairs. See what it looks like up here. I don't know how he would have gotten in. Oh, maybe right through there. I think he's a decently small guy. I don't know. He could have gotten in right through there.
All right, we're going to look at some of the ones right there. All right, let me just pause that for a second. So that was him breaking in. They know that it was messed up, that this place was abandoned. All right. Now I want to show you, Mo, I pulled up the group, and I believe the reason that they're not pulling this or flagging it down is because they are using it to make arrests. All right. So this is the human bones and skull selling group. There's 5.8 thousand members here. So imagine how many other people have access to or have purchased, or maybe are even grave robbing as well. Now, I mean, this isn't much when you look at it, right? This is all kind of like just stuff people are doing, art, etc. Those aren't real. You know, some of that stuff probably want to share a creation I finished. There's nothing on here that says, you know, we're robbing graves, etc., and doing some nefarious things. Now, this guy says I'm selling a human skull, no jaw. And this is in the pounds. You know, this is going to be somewhere in the UK. How are they getting away with that? There you go. There's a human skull. And this is not Jonathan Gerlach. These are 5,800 other people in this group that are doing that. I mean, so I guess it makes it easier as far as a sting operation goes to be able to find out the people that are in it and kind of target them, right? So we got a lot of stuff. There's a jaw there. Look at, this says I found these teeth buried under my house while doing a repair. I mean, it's just creepy. It's creepy that some of the stuff isn't, but when you start seeing the human and they're like this, where do you get this from? Premium quality bones available. What? Who's looking for that? I mean, why? I'm just not getting it, other than what I talked about, the morbid fascination and then the money, right? So there's things in here that just look like, okay, but I want to share my creation, give the opinion. What is that? Is that they got human skin on top, or are they just using soapstone? They're asking, what is it made out of? What are they carved into? I mean, some of these things look harmless, but if you look closer, there's actual physical real life bones and skin. This looks like an animal, primate, monkey. I mean, this is so wild. There's flesh on this. It says not available, but there's absolutely flesh still on there, which is disgusting, guys. I can't say how disgusting this is. And someone's asking how much. We can go click on Courtney and then find her and try to sell her something and get her in a sting operation too. So you see where we're headed with this? All right. I don't think, maybe some religion, but I don't think that has anything to do with religion. I think it's a morbid fascination and money. All right, let's keep going. Let's go back to this real quick. I want to share this with you.
It's been like this for years.
Okay.
Jane Maxwell.
Done. Where'd it go?
Look at this one. Freshly broken off.
Here we go.
Wow, with the wood. Oh yeah, you can see the tombs. The wood is placed there to help him get the bodies out. You can see the tomb or the casket right there. Oh, there's another one face up. Look at this.
Pause.
I don't even know if they know about this one. This is up in the woods.
Not quite.
Does it have a name on it? There's no name on this one. Oh, okay, he does.
Well, we'll run this
Hurst.
Versus.
Wow. Yeah, I might have to call that one in.
Okay, we're not
I'm not going in there. This place is, I'm surprised there aren't police here. There might be on the other side. We're only like day 3 into this thing.
Let's go a little bit back.
I can't even tell what, sometimes it's easier to see on the camera.
Hey, Julie Bug, come on in, hit that like button, would you? And shoot for the stars.
Last name, but
thank you.
That has. I was just going to come over just to show the tiny little stone here, monument, and it's been moved. So
now listen. Do you think there's going to be more arrests, guys? Because this came down to December 23rd, 2025, and Jeremy Pauley was arrested and prior to 2020, and he was sentenced to 6 years for a small fraction of what Jonathan's doing. So, Angel of Truth, good to see you. My husband and I love skulls and skeletons, fake ones. I'd freak out if we were ever to come across real human bones. And guys, you would not want to desecrate somebody's freaking family like that. Somebody's family. Period.
Been disrupted. Now the leaves down below have not, but this could have been from a couple months ago when he was doing this. I mean, this has definitely been moved. You can see the scratch marks on it. So they went to his house and they found, they say, over 100 skeletal remains. And I'm sure it'll be more than that as time goes on. I'm sure they're going to investigate because he had animal heads. He was a dealer.
And I'll just talk to you for a second while we're watching them walk through this, guys. Now, listen, I don't know if MM Clark is here today, but yesterday she was talking about this cemetery. I think she said something like it was abandoned. Somebody said something about it being abandoned before I ever even looked into this case. And Doom Creek, you can guarantee it's happening everywhere in the world. The desire to dig and pull from the dead is an old trait. And it is. You see how many people are in that group trying to buy real human remains, right? So, I mean, that's what we're looking at today. This sick fascination and this particular cemetery, guys.
And selling
this cemetery
thousands of dollars
is targeted. There it is. He left it open.
It was a hobby, but it was a business for him. That's what I think.
Elizabeth Dietrich. I think that was on the probable cause affidavit, right? That's wild.
So the last time I was here was probably sometime in the summer, and I have noticed that now there are definitely trail cams around. I'll show them to you. But you know, as you're walking around now, you see this stuff. Look, this was clearly disturbed. Look at that, fresh marks. Look at this. All this has been disturbed. You could see the cracks in there too. Normally, if I was just here, I would just see this and not even pay attention to it. But that has clearly been.
And again, they're starting to put cameras up, and they want to get security and close this down, right? This is an easy target.
People have passed on some of their interesting stories, and that was
definitely,
I believe it was in August when I was here.
An easy target.
Again, look at this one. Clearly, this has been moved. You can see how it's been disrupted. This entire thing. I don't know what this weighs. 400 or 500 pounds, maybe more, but it's been moved. Crumback. The last name is Crumback. At night, there's no one up here. It's quiet. I would venture to say that nobody comes into the Mount Moriah during the nighttime. So this man had free reign to go and do whatever he wanted. I can't get over this.
And guys, he did it for quite some time. I mean, he literally has 100 counts of abuse of a corpse. He has 26 counts of burglary, 26 counts of criminal trespassing, 100 counts of abuse of a corpse, and 100 counts of receiving stolen property, as well as 26 counts of intentional desecration of a public monument. That's a lot. That's a lot.
They've all been slid over. Look, you can actually even see through the crack
right there. Yep.
Down there. He said he used a bunch of tools and crowbars to probably slide this over and get at these bodies.
Yes.
Here's another one. You can see the markings where it was dragged or pushed to the side. Yeah, it's not even on right.
Now, guys, by the probable cause affidavit, I'm going to tell you right now that these people that were doing this, specifically Jonathan, was very, very comfortable with that graveyard. And I believe whenever he needed to get something new, or he just had this fascination, or somebody was looking for something, that he went out to that graveyard and took whatever it is that he wanted. I mean, the fact that the rope was still hanging there and a monster was down there shows you he got comfortable, went down there, took his drink, probably smoked some cigarettes or whatever he did, and just did the crime. He was so comfortable, I don't think he even realized they were looking at him. I mean, it's a bandit in that place. All right, now we're actually going to get into this. This is the grave robber stolen human remains online from Pennsylvania. This really want to share this with you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to 21 Next on Friday, January 9th. We're talking about a pretty crazy story. A man who is storing human remains in Ephrata. He has been charged now, and now we know more about him because of a search warrant. So I want to bring in Lily Sexton, who actually went through that search warrant today and can share more details with us. Lily, what did you learn about the case?
Yeah, I was looking for the search warrant to read to you guys, but I couldn't find that, only the probable cause. And so I want to go over this and look at the medical examiner vehicles out there. They show them bringing body bags. And when they bring the body bags, guys, it's a full body bag. That's how many corpses that he had at his home in the basement, and he had a full storage with display.
After going through the search warrant about storage of the remains, what can you tell us?
So the search warrant really broke down all the evidence that they had against him leading up to when they were able to actually enter his home. And they said that he was going to the cemetery, which he robbed outside, is accused of robbing outside of Philadelphia multiple times. It was not just on one occasion did he steal all these bodies. He was going back. They also described all of the evidence that he was leaving on the scene at each time, some of it being DNA evidence like cigarette butts and energy drinks that he left behind, other times tools that he left behind that he was potentially using to break into the cemetery and actually steal things in the grave. They also broke down evidence they had against him in terms of what he was posting on social media. They said that he was likely also selling body parts, according to the document. They found Facebook posts that included people thanking him for the human skin bag.
A human skin bag. And there's the group, Human Bones and Skulls Selling Groups, guys. Literally, I saw patches of skin that they dried out and were just, displayed on like a rack. Like, what is happening here? We'll go back and look at the skulls in case you missed it. I mean, the torsos and stuff, but this is crazy. Absolutely crazy.
That they purchased from him. As well as they also described all of the items that they found, in like hundreds of skulls, in addition to 2 torsos that he's accused of stealing from that cemetery.
And Lily, you mentioned that some of them were sold, but some of them weren't. Do you know more about that? How specifically those were sold, if they were sold online or how that happened?
They have evidence with his Cash App that he was using his Cash App most likely for the sales and purchases of the body parts. We don't know exactly how much he sold online, but we do, according to the documents at least, think that he wasn't just robbing the graves and keeping everything. He was also turning it into a business and selling some of the items.
Wow, yeah, interesting. And so we know that there's no real motive at this time, but I want to bring in Maxine Rose because
there's a motive.
Dived a little bit deeper today to learn more about Jonathan Gerlach and about what what we know about him leading up to this.
I mean, the whole town is up in arms. And like I said, law enforcement has stepped in and they have a case and they're following the leads of the people on the group that are buying and selling. You can get arrested for buying this stuff. That is how they got Jeremy Pauly. All right. And I don't know why chat is just stopped, guys. I hope you guys can still see me and you're all are here.
So Maxine, what can you tell us? I know that you've been in the neighborhood of his Ephrata home where some of these remains were stored. What did you learn?
Yeah, Alex. So I spoke with
a person who claims to have been, a close friend of Jonathan Gerlach. He says he hasn't spoken with him in roughly, 5 to 8 years. He says he can't really remember, but he spent a lot of time, especially in his youth, in a band, in his teens, really talking with Jonathan Gerlach between the shows, after the shows, hanging.
And when you look at the band members and you look at the similarity and the looks of them, it's all like this, it's all this persona with the tattoos, the piercings, even the eyeballs tattooed, the piercings, the heavy metal. That's what this guy was into. But then he took it to this level, right?
Out with him, he says he was a really nice, empathetic guy. He says that he seemed pretty normal for the most part. Yeah, that's him right there. You can see. And that really, he just seemed like someone who was like everybody else in the heavy metal community, just, just wanting to.
Yeah, I mean, everybody looked like that. The people that they approached, they all had that same, that same look. I'm a heavy metal guy. I'm into piercings and tattoos. I wonder at what point they realized that these were real people. Here in my country, they have a tribe that reduces heads, human heads, not animals, eyes and mouth sewn. Whoa. Imagine being his neighbor. And there are neighbors that are on the news that are talking about not only the bodies next to him, how creepy, but the smell. You live 10 minutes from Ephrata. You have friends in common with the ghoul. I bet you do. There are a lot of people. Hey, Mom, good to see you. Is StreamYard and tied to Verizon? No, StreamYard is not tied to Verizon, but I think StreamYard might be giving us a little bit of issues here. All right, let's keep going. He does look like a freak. Look at that. His eyes are like black, dark.
Kind of enjoy life and had deep conversations, but with being in the heavy metal community, this guy did tell me today, sometimes people are interested in oddities or maybe darker types of things. But what's interesting here is that this guy tells me today, like Jonathan Gerlach never said anything about liking oddities this much. So all of this is really coming as a shock to friends and people who knew him, people who came into passing. We've seen on social media so many people just saying how much this has shocked them, having come into contact with him either while.
And the people that are local are putting up, look at this guy, what he sold. Can you believe it was right here? Jay, I'm still here. Can't stand the trolls that come to your channel. Well, thank you. Me too. Yeah, he looks soulless. That's what I would say. Let me show. Oh, Mab, what's up, man? Oh my God, just got done splitting wood all day and I'm wiped out. Well, tell Mrs. Mab I say hello. All right. Dark scale. You guys are having fun in chat. All right. I want to show you something real quick on the Facebook stream. Then I'll put that back up. 1 second. Look at this. So I'm looking at the Facebook groups and he actually had, the human skull and bones still available. Inbox me privately, $4.50 for a real human skull. All right. And then this was Jonathan Gerlach's on his page, human skull with the flowers. And then that's his page. He doesn't have a lot on that page, but most of it is in the selling group. All right. Search warrants, stated tipster, directed detectives to the Instagram account, which I showed you earlier, where he has, where he's collecting corpses, taxidermy, human skulls, and other oddities. All right. So that's him with holding the skull. I mean, people are shocked. That's him again, holding a human skull. All right. If you purchased anything from Jonathan Gerlach, please contact the FBI before they contact you. This guy says, I love dead things, but children's skeletons is next level fucked. And I agree. All right. If you guys did buy some or you see something, you know something, and you're from the area, be careful because they are targeting the people that are buying and selling in this community. And in my opinion, that's why it's not shut down yet. All right. They're still looking. I mean, there's 5,800 people in that group, which means there's a lot more people that are grave robbing than we thought. Right. All right, let's keep going.
He's walking his dog outside or, knowing someone who worked with him or seeing him with his band performing as a lyricist and vocalist
for
so weird
for his band in this area, and also the Williamsport area.
And so I know, Maxine, that you were also there yesterday and you were back in Ephrata today. Have you noticed law enforcement there, or, you know, crime scene units there, anybody there who's been investigating, looking into this home at all? Have you seen anything that you can share with people?
What I can share, yes, is that there have been police here, just like we saw last night. And I mentioned at the end of my story last night, is that you can see that there was a police officer that, well, you can't see it now, but there was a kind of white car off to the side there that was there for hours yesterday. And there, like, you can see the top of it right there. That was it just sitting in the corner there, kind of blocking where that garage was, and where witnesses had told me they had seen investigators initially just come right in and start taking boxes out. You could see in one of those frames there, they kind of hit it with that white sheet, but we did get a second. There it is, a few boxes stacked right up. And
there's also bodies being taken out of there, body bags taken out of there. His parents and the neighbors are very disturbed about this, which I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. Hold on, let's finish this.
From our understanding, you know, they're continuing to take evidence out of that home.
And from your understanding, I'm not sure if you know this, where is Jonathan Gerlach now? Do we know?
Well, he does have $1 million bond, I do believe. So he is
Good.
currently in, I believe, the Lancaster County prison. You know, either way, he is not out and about at this point. You know, witnesses, neighbors here tell me they saw him get escorted out earlier this week of this home here. We are also under the impression that he was living with someone else. We have not seen that person.
Wow.
We have not heard from that person. We have not seen whether there are even any charges against this person. But of course, there's so much more to the story, Alex, that we are not, you know, privy to just yet. And hopefully, as this develops, we'll be able to learn more.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Maxine. And if you guys want to see more about what this story has developed over the course of the past 2 days, be sure to tune in tonight on CBS 21 at 5, 5:30, and 6. Maxine and Lily will be breaking down more details.
Yeah, they have a lot of coverage on this case. People are disturbed. The neighbors, I wanted to see what the neighbors had to say. And the neighbors, check this out. Neighbors shaken after the cops find 100 plus human remains, including the skulls.
A suspected grave robber is now under arrest and facing a long list of charges. Police think Jonathan Gerlach stole more than 100 sets of human remains from Mount Moriah Cemetery in Yeadon. According to investigators, a stockpile was found in his home and at a nearby storage unit. Action News reporter Leland Pinder spoke to his neighbors and has more.
Yes, Jeepers
People here
Creepers.
tell me a large police presence occupied their neighborhood for much of the last 2 days. Tonight, just one cop car remains guarding the property as the investigation continues.
Yeah, this is definitely horrific. I mean, I could only imagine what the investigators saw.
Inside this home on Washington Avenue in Ephrata, a search warrant uncovered well over 100 human skeletons, according to the Delaware County DA.
And you can see them working into the night. And I'm just trying to get a glimpse of them removing the bodies in the boxes.
Detectives walked into a horror movie come to life. 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach is now in custody, accused of robbing graves and maintaining a home full of skeletal remains. Neighbors are shaken.
Well, it's supposed to be a nice, quaint little town, and here you have somebody with bodies in their house.
Authorities say between Halloween and just this week, police investigated multiple burglaries of graves and mausoleums.
And I bet you that happens a lot in New Orleans, right? When I went to New Orleans last time, that's a big attraction. The mausoleums and the all the burials, right? You got rich people that want to put mausoleums and gold plated or gold and all kinds of different jewelry. I bet that happens there. What's up, Em? Good to see you, my friend and bestie. You say whoever was living with him, they must have knew. I think everybody had to have known. And the people that actually called into law enforcement went to his house and said that they saw a torso hanging from his, I think, his basement area or garage. The story definitely puts me in a weird mood. Heebie-jeebies. I know. I can't imagine when there's gonna be a movie that comes out. All right, let's continue.
At Mount Moriah Cemetery in Yeadon. During surveillance Tuesday, Gerlach was arrested at the cemetery. Police say he had a bag filled with human remains, including children's bones.
They actually caught him in the act, guys. They were staking him out by the Facebook pages and Instagram and based on the sales, right? All right, let's keep going. I want to show you something else real
With
quick.
more discovered in his vehicle.
I just want to know the motive, you know? Like, why would someone...
The motive is money, and I'm sure there's a morbid fascination. Yeah, it does, right? What's the motive? Financial gain.
do that?
Investigators believe the remains came from cemeteries across the region. Police are also examining this Facebook page titled Human Bones and Skull Selling Group, where Gerlach is tagged. Authorities have not yet determined whether any remains were sold or why Gerlach wanted them.
Oh, yeah, I worked with him.
This man, who did not want to be identified, says he and Gerlach were co-workers in a manufacturing job.
He was a team lead at the place of my work. But yeah, I mean, he was a good worker.
And there you go. He was a team lead we talked about for 10 years, just kind of fitting in. Can you imagine what the family feels like? You would think disease would be an issue. Possibly. I mean, they weren't doing this. He's not doing this in a way that to preserve the bodies, etc. Not by the way that law enforcement described it. All right. Did I miss something? Yes, I did. Mo Preciado. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Several gravestones were stolen from the Silver Terrace Cemetery in the old mining town of Virginia City here in Nevada. They were never recovered. Right. And I bet you that the operation is probably not as nearly as large as what's going on here in Pennsylvania. If you watch the very beginning of this episode, then you saw the people that were attached to these crimes. There was a lot of them, guys. There's a lot of people doing this, buying the stuff.
But, you know, a little strange, but this strange, it's disturbing.
My name is Leland Pinder, calling with Channel 6 Action News.
Attempts to reach family members Thursday were unsuccessful.
It's definitely so.
Yeadon police chief calls it one of the most disturbing cases he's seen.
It's just extremely disrespectful to, like, the people and families.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan Gerlach is in jail tonight on $1 million bail, which has not been paid. He faces a slew of charges. He's due in court January 20th. Here in Ephrata, Lancaster.
All right, so we got 5 days to find out what is going to happen next with court. Again, thank you guys for the super chat, super stickers, all of that stuff. Let me show you again the leaked footage of the oddities, we'll call it. All right, warning, trigger warning, viewer discretion, murder she shed. They're going to show some of the items.
Ugh, what a fucking creep.
That is the shed. I mean the storage. Remember, he has a storage too. I mean, that's very disturbing, guys. Those are real life people. Those are bodies that are on display. We didn't even get to see a picture. I don't know if we want to see it, but the picture of the hanging torso. Yes, best motive is money. Agreed, but that's disgusting. That is absolutely disgusting. Look at that.
It's like my grandmother's dentures. It is. It's fucking gross. Look at the one.
That's what they caught him with, guys. First, they went to his house. When we're talking about the probable cause affidavit and his arrest, that had nothing to do with this storage locker that he still had that they're searching. I mean, this is almost unbelievable. I can't imagine walking into that. Thank you, Nina, for the Guilty of Crime membership. If you received that membership, please thank her. Oh my goodness. This is crazy. I would never want that in my house or my shed or anything.
Look at these ones. All the ones behind you. God damn. Oh, that one's still alive. That's a long.
When he says that one's still alive, there's literally skin, human skin that's just rotting on it. Damn, dude, that's disgusting.
Well, I want to get the hand.
Look at the spine.
Oh, sorry. Oh my God. What the fuck? Is that a pacemaker?
Look at you guys. If you guys know the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Ed Gein. If you've ever watched or read or consumed any of that, that's exactly what he did, was have meat hooks hanging from the ceiling, and he would put the bodies on those, and he'd also put skin on there to dry it. This is the exact same thing that this guy's doing here. All right. He straight up pulled an Ed Gein. It's a modern day Ed Gein. All right, let me just I'm going to share one more thing with you, and then I want to say thank you guys for being here today. All right, Blaze Media horror movie come to life. Man faces nearly 600 charges after 100 skulls and skeletons were allegedly found in his home. Prosecutors said some of the remains were hung up at home. Police investigators say they were horrified to find more than 100 skulls and skeletons at the Pennsylvania home of a man now facing 600 criminal charges. Now, District Attorney Tanner Rouse announced in a press conference that I didn't share with you that 34-year-old Jonathan Gerlach of Ephrata has been charged with 574 counts, including trespassing, abuse of a corpse, and theft. It's truly the most literal sense of the word horrific. I grieve for those who are upset by this. Detectives had been on a stakeout, guys, at the historic Mount Moriah Cemetery and Arboretum in Yeadon on Tuesday when they noticed that a car belonging to Gerlach had numerous bones and skulls just chilling in plain view in the back seat. They said they saw the man leaving with a burlap bag and a crowbar. When he was detained and questioned, Gerlach admitted that he had stolen human remains from 30 grave sites. All right. So I wonder if this is probably not going to go to trial. They found far worse. After raiding the man's home, detectives walked into a horror movie come to life. Rouse said at the press conference, "It is truly the most literal sense of the word horrific. I grieve for the people who are upset, who are going through this, who are trying to figure out if it's in fact one of their loved ones." Investigators are now trying to determine whether Gerlach had been collecting the remains. They're also investigating his involvement in a group on Facebook that we saw, the Human Bones and Skull Selling Group. Rouse said that some of the remains were hung up, some were pieced together, and skulls were found on the man's shelf. Very simply, detectives have recovered an awful lot of bones at this point, and we're still trying to piece together who they are and where they're from and how many we're looking at. Rouse said it's going to be quite some time before they have a final answer. Gerlach's being held at the George W. Hill Correctional Facility on bail of $1 million. All right. And man broken in the gravesite. We already saw that. Rest in peace is rest in peace. This is definitely something that tears at your heartstrings. Yeadon Police Cemetery was founded in 1855, and they need to guard it better. All right, guys, you guys got through this episode. We all did. Cooking with Mr. Good Looking says, "What's up, Guilty of Crime? I just want to let you know I'm here in the chat. It's me, Alex." What's up, Alex? Good to see you, my friend. Come on in. I like your picture. All right, Wyatt says it's going to take DNA testing and matchups and a lot. What's up, Luis Tresco? I saw you earlier, and I wanted to say hello. All right, I'm disappointed Lancaster has gotten a lot softer in crime, in my opinion. Well, I hope that they get a lot more. I hope they toughen up a lot more on this particular case, and they're doing a sting operation on the people that are purchasing these things from the people that are actually grave robbing. All right, guys, what's up? Come on in, hit that like button. You know the drill. Get a membership if you can, but do me a favor. If you see the hype button, please hit the hype button for Guilty of Crime and share with your community and friends. Guys, we're going to be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm covering something special for you. We're going to do the OG of OGs, mothers who kill their children. All right. We're going to deep dive into Andrea Yates, Rusty Yates. What happened? Why is he still visiting her after 25 years? Do you guys know who Andrea Yates is? She killed her 5 children and she blamed it on a black man, says that he carjacked her and took the kids. Well, not so much. All right, guys, we'll be back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern. I don't know what's up with chat, but I will see you guys tomorrow. Love you, and thanks for all the support. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Guilty of Crime.
I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video,
like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime.
Are you guilty of crime?